right, hello everyone. Hejkas merhaba, nasılsınız? Right? So let me kick it off with the question, and thanks to all of you for having me in this beautiful city of Istanbul. So the question I have for you to kick it off is, like, which of you thinks that Solana staking is like the most exciting thing that you could be doing with crypto? Well, I guess you're lying, right? In some sense. Because, like, let's face it, it might not be the most exciting. And yeah, to the folks, I would need a clicker to move on. But it might not be the most exciting thing, but it's important. It's important to get it right. It's like the electricity to make Solana working and keep it running. Thanks a lot. So today I'll be talking about staking. I'm Michael. I've been contributing to the Marinade DAO since 2021 and working for Solana to make it more stable, secure, censorship resistant. And today I'm excited to announce the next chapter for Marinade here, the V2 version, which takes everything that we've learned throughout those 3 years, bakes it in the product, challenges the staking as it is, and I believe it sets the new staking meta. And you guys are the first one to see what's ahead of us. There's no tweet, no medium. We're doing it right here, right now. So let's get to it. So to set some context first, and the agenda kind of the call. So we start easy, we take it easy. We start like, what is SOL staking? What's the essence of SOL staking? What's the current state of SOL staking and how Solana is decentralized today from different optics? And then we get to the current challenges of Solana staking. And basically, I'll run you through the history real quick, how we got to where we are today. And then let's do it. Let's drop the alpha. So I'll walk you through the roadmap of Marinade V2 and the 3 pillars that makes it possible. And they are like super interesting. That takes the staking to a whole another like 10x improvement to what you witness today if you're staking Solana. So first of all, let's kick it off very easy. What's Solana staking? So Solana is a global state machine, right? That's run by thousands of validators across the world. And Solana staking is, in some sense, like a representative democracy. So by staking your SOL, you give those computers a voting power then to represent you in the consensus. So you decide with your SOL staking. We have roughly 1,700 validators on Solana, those computers across the world. And they process thousands of transactions every second and come to an agreement on a consensus, like what the latest state is. You have close to 500,000 Solana citizens or delegators, just like you guys owning SOL, where those citizens can stake the SOL, and by staking the SOL, you basically put those validators in charge, and you decide which of those computers have how much power in the network consensus. So you have 500,000 citizens. Then those validators, or those parties, we can call them in this democracy, for their job, if it's done well, they are rewarded with Solana tokens. They take a cut, some commission, and most of it gets shared with the citizens, the delegators. So that's like the game theory, the whole system, to set the scene. Now, where are we currently with the SOL staking? Or in other words, how's Solana doing when it comes to decentralization, how resilient it is? So one optics to look at it is geographically. If we look at it where the SOL is staked today, it looks like this. So that's the map, and like the biggest clusters of staked SOL when you look at it geographically. So it's like not that bad, it can be better. And one optics how to look at decentralization is that on Solana, you need 2/3 of all staked to agree on a consensus to keep it moving. You need 2/3 of all staked SOL, so the validators need to agree. In other words, if you lose that 1/3, this 33%, that can cause problems, that can take the network down, basically. So some way to look at it, and this term was coined back then a few years ago, called Nakamoto coefficient. That means like what is the smallest number of independent entities that can collectively act to take the network down. So let's take a look at the Nakamoto coefficient, or what it takes to reach this critical 1/3 stake on Solana. So when it comes to validators, I was talking, we have 1,700 validators on Solana, a big number. 21 of those have enough of a stake, so those are the biggest. The biggest 21 technically, collectively, could take the network down if they were offline in one moment. This number back then when we started was hovering around 10, so it doubled since then, which is great. We can still do better, but that's the validator entities. There are also other optics, how to look at the decentralization of Solana. And let's face it, when it comes to like data centers or countries or even a running client, the numbers are much worse there. So Solana's young, we're still early, but we need to face it that we can do better. And that's something at Marinade we've been thinking from the very start, how to make the network more resilient, how to make it more decentralized through many ways. If we look at the staked SOL distribution split, so Marinade's MSOL pioneered the liquid staking back in 2021. Recently, many other stake pools followed the way, so we have tens of LSTs maybe now on Solana. But if you combine them all together, you get 6% of the staked SOL market share. So it's very like a drop in the ocean compared to some other segments. So for example, those validators that are privately run charge 100% commission. They have 4 times more stake than all stake pools on Solana combined, just to set some context. So now off to the issues and how we get there. So back in 2021, or why we built Marinade in the first place, there were some set of challenges, some problems we were thinking those are the crucial problems to solve. First, prior to Marinade, if you wanted to stake your SOL, you needed to have it locked up. So it was there, sitting with a validator. You could not really use it. It was there, and it takes 2 to 3 days to stake it back. You could not use it in DeFi, for example. Then the next thing, performance tracking. So if you stake it with a validator, now if that validator goes offline or they change commission, you guys might be losing rewards. So it takes some work to manually track if the validator it's still performing well. And finally, this leads to, or back then, and still now, it leads to big stake concentration. So that's why people stake to the biggest OG names, the validators like exchanges and so on, because they believe that they are the trusted. But I'll show you kind of the opposite. So back at then, 2021, Marinade launched MSOL and tackled the problem of being locked up with a liquid staking token. So it pioneered liquid staking back then, 2021. Not only that you are liquid, but you don't need to track your validators anymore, because Marinade tracks all Solana validators and picks the most 100+ performant and moves the stake automatically, rebalances it so that you don't need to watch it, and it stakes to many, not to one, which is the last point. Marinade would skip the biggest validators, the already big ones, to delegate the stake to the long tail, the community validators that are small, emerging, starting. They are not that big, and a regular user would not stake to them because they are unknown. So this is how we started, but right now, even with all this, like I was saying, Marinade's MSOL got only the 3% market share. So we needed to come back to the table and be like, OK, what are the problems really today? And we think like we got a new set of problems. So why people didn't want to use MSOL or any other LST, the #1 reason was the smart contract risk. Like you send your SOL somewhere, and just most of the market, they don't want to do it. The validator risk, that still stands. So you basically need to trust that validator that you stake with is that they'll be online, they will not change commission, right? And finally, the suboptimal yield, meaning that all stake pools, they charge, including MSOL, they charge a performance fee on top of the commission of the validator. That combined means that you get less yield than if you would go directly to the validator, right? So let's face it, those are the problems that you think are worth to solve. And throughout Marinade 2, I'll be happy to walk you through it one by one, how we're tackling it. So let's start off with the smart contract risk. So for smart contract, back in last year, summer, we launched a product called Marinade Native, which completely eliminates the smart contract risk. And here's how it works. So traditionally, at the top, as I was saying, with LST, with a stake pool, with liquid staking, you take your SOL and you send a SOL to a smart contract. You get back this redeemable receipt token, which is liquid. You can use it in DeFi. Now, some people are hesitant. Even with Marinade's been around for 3 years, some people are hesitant just to send SOL somewhere, and they want to play it safe. That's why 95% of the staking market stakes it the native way. So we introduced something that's called Marinade Native that only sits on top of classic Solana staking. So you get to keep the SOL. It stays on your wallet. What it does is that it only manages the stake authority of your staking, while you get to keep the withdrawal authority. So you have it at all times in your wallet. You can see all the stake accounts. They are changed automatically by Marinade, but at no point Marinade Native can touch your SOL tokens. So that's the first thing that got it started, and now more than 10,000 users with 3 million SOL have been using it. And next off, and what we're rolling out right now, it's for the validator risk. So protected staking rewards, or PSR. The way how it works is that it puts the validator's skin in the game, we call it, for the first time. For the first time, we align the interest. So let's say you're staking to a validator and you expect a yield, say 7.5% yield. If that validator in that epoch, in those 2 days, goes down for 5 hours, it's 10% downtime, and you're not getting 7.5%. For that epoch, you get like 10% less. And nobody's recovering you. That's it. That's your like lost yield. That's why you need to pick very well. So we're thinking, like, let's change it, let's fix it. And with the protected staking reward system, the way it works is that Marinade now requires every validator to have a bond, to have a deposit in a form of SOL, a collateral, and if they go offline or if they change commission, from this bond, then we recover the expected yield. So in another way, PSR brings you finally 100% uptime, no matter what, and we take it on the validator side, because they should deliver, the projected yield should equal what you get in the end. So this is PSR, very excited about that. It's been rolled out. The way it works is that validators need to get some SOL per stake. We have more than 400 validators on Solana with the bond, and so far charged something like close to 20 SOL to go back to stakers, because they expected this yield. And finally, the sub-optimal yield, like I was talking about, we are happy to announce that we're working on a system that we call SAM, or a stake auction marketplace. So the way it works is that Marinade, with its 10 million SOL now, would put this delegation up there in the open market. So we invite now every Solana validator to go and basically place bids, how much they would like to pay to get this stake. So this means it's a completely inclusive market and system where Marinade would delegate the SOL out there to the public, to the market, and then validators would pay for it. What it means now, especially with transaction fees and MBV, that technically in a super efficient market, the validators should bid each other, and then Marinade would pick like the highest bidding validators, and all those bids would flow back to users, to stakers, 100%, which means quite substantially increase the yield for the stakers in the end, including MBV, including transaction fees, including any revenue that the validator has, because they bid almost close to their hardware cost. In some sense, it's kind of like a race to the bottom. So this means enhanced staking yield for users, and basically that's it. That's it in a nutshell. I'm dropping it here with you guys. Now it's your turn. I'm happy to invite you to stop staking to one validator, start staking to many. And thanks for having me. It's been great to talk now about Marinade V2. As I was talking about it, I'll leave you with this final teaser. You can catch me around. We can talk more. But thank you very much. I'm leaving you with this video. No.